Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. All right, let's jump into our cosmic weather for today. See what we got going on. We are in the midst of a geomagnetic storm. We've been hit by a couple of X-class flares. So currently, our solar wind here is 287.1 kilometers per second. When we scroll down and look at our planetary K-index, we are at a KP5. Now this scale only goes up to a 9. We're expected to get up to a 6 within the next 24 hours. And as you can see here, there's an 80% chance we're going to get hit by an M-class flare and 30% chance we're going to get another X-class flare. All within the next 24 hours, and our geomagnetic X-storm activity you could see is 30%, decreasing a little over the next 24 hours. Now, let's go back up here and take a look at this geomagnetic storm. It says polar geomagnetic storms are underway following the arrival of a coronal mass ejection on March 7th at approximately 400 Universal Time. High-latitude skywatchers should be alert for auroras. Shortly after the CME impact, a burst of northern lights appeared over the U.S.-Canadian border. Sean Malone photographed a display of the shores of Lake Superior. I was lucky to catch this brilliant outburst of aurora activity. And, alright, now, this is the other one we're looking at here. Major solar flare, big sunspot AR 1429 has unleashed another major flare. This is one of the strongest yet, an X5 class eruption. Now, these X-class flares, they have 9 degrees of intensity. There's C-class, which are the lower ones, M-class, which are the middle, and then these X-class ones, which are the big ones. So, X-class flares, are these X-class flares enough to change and restructure the DNA? Possible. Is there a clue? Remember the X-Men? X-class is one of the names of it. Is that some sort of a clue? Remember the Fantastic Four? When they went out in space, they got hit by a cosmic wind, and it affected them. Well, here our planet is getting affected. So if over the course of the next period of time, if you notice that any of your friends or neighbors or you seem to gain any new superpowers, well, you could blame it on the sun. Anyway, we're in the midst of this flare, so if in the course of next 24 hours or so you notice any sort of disturbance with your televisions, radios, any kind of electromagnetic signals, don't be surprised. And take a look up at the sky, because you might see something interesting like this, depending on where you are. Alright? Now, astrologically, we're still dealing with the same sun sign, which is Pisces. However, our moon sign has evolved again. Yesterday it was in between. Today it is no longer in between. Today we are in the moon sign of Virgo. Virgo is an earth sign. Virgo in the tarot cards would be the card of the Hermit, which is indicative of patience and timing. Patience and timing. Virgo is all about analysis on one level. So you've got the analytical mind that is being practical in earthly manners. That's their underlying subconscious, and that's interacting with our conscious mind, which is the Piscean water energy. So you got water and earth are the two elements we're working with, conscious mind and unconscious mind. So think how those two interact, and that should help you. Now our current moon phase right here is we're almost to a full moon. We'll be there tomorrow. We're 99% of the way there. 99% of the way there. And on the Dreamspell, we are progressed to the 9th position. 9th position on this wave spell, 13-day wave spell. This position, the 9th one, is the 9th tone, which is called the 9th tone is the solar tone of intention. The kin for today, as you can see right here, this one in the middle, is the mirror. The mirror is about reflection. So today is a day of reflection, paying attention to what we see outside of ourselves, because in some way it is reflecting what is going on within ourselves. The guide for today is the White Wizard. The White Wizard teaches us the lessons of timelessness. So you've got the lessons of endlessness. Think of a mirror. You look in a mirror, you see your reflection, it bounces back at you. If there was another mirror behind you, it would bounce back and the reflection would go on endlessly. Well, that's kind of the idea, the endless reflection of life guided by the timelessness of life. And all around it, these supporting cast members or supporting kin are the star, the dragon, and the blue knight. The phrase for today is, I pulse in order to reflect realizing order. I seal the matrix of endlessness with the solar tone of intention. I am guided by the power of timelessness. And on the Gregorian calendar, it is Wednesday, March 7th, 2012. So there you go. There's our cosmic weather for today. So it's interesting, the solar flare activity that's going on. I think we just need to pay attention. I don't know if it's a situation that, we need to be more aware of when we're out and about, if we're in the sun. I would think, though, the intensity that might come off any time of the sun is something we should pay attention to. But certainly see how it affects any of the electromagnetics around your place. Last year there was an article that came out, and it was an article that talked about the electromagnetic grid of the planet and how it was going to be tested over the course of this next year. And that the test was for the purpose of trying to raise the frequencies that were being utilized, so in the event that these flares would happen. But one of the strange things that they said when they made this announcement was that people were going to be seeing things break, and they were going to see time jumping ahead as much as 15 minutes. So what does all that mean? Are we going through some sort of time portals that we're being pre-informed about? It's a possibility. There's a lot of interesting things that go on with the sun. It's more than just a ball of fire that keeps us warm. Alright, now the next thing we're going to get to is 9/11 related. 9/11. This one here is called 9/11 Is the Litmus Test. I haven't seen this one before until recently, and I think it's pretty good. So I wanted to play this one for you. See if you think equally like I do that this is a good video. Check it out. I'll be back.
There is one thing that defines everyone over the course of these early years of this new century. That thing is the 9/11 attack. Everyone in government in every field of endeavor the world over is defined by their position on this event. It is not necessary to know the truth. It is only necessary to know the extent of the lies in order to define any leader in any position anywhere in the world. By what they have said and by what they have not said, one can accurately judge who is an enemy of the peoples of the world. One can accurately determine who is a tool of the psychopaths, or one of them. Think about what you allow yourself to know. Think about what you pass by, ignore, deny, and defend that defines you. It defines the degree of your personal courage, your relationship to the truth, your values, your principles, and what you will pass on to your children and everyone you meet. It tells you, in that place where your conscience must once have lived, whether you are a hypocrite and a fool, or whether something greater still lives within you. 19 men passed through airport security. 11 of them are stopped and questioned, but then allowed to board. Several large passenger planes wind up hijacked and flown at high speed into enormous buildings. None of these men had shown previous capacity to accomplish this feat. These men were armed with box cutters. No jet fighters were scrambled to intercept these planes, although the authorities in charge of such actions knew immediately what was happening. Airport traffic controllers were ordered to destroy all recorded evidence of the event. Some of them physically broke the CDs and scattered the pieces into different trash containers at the airports. Within hours, 3 of the biggest buildings in the city, buildings designed to absorb the impact of the very planes which hit them, all crumbled into their own footprints at the speed of free fall. It was said that the fire, which burned below the melting point of steel, caused this to happen. No fire in history had previously accomplished such a thing, not once. Previous fires had burned hotter and longer, yet no building fell. Now, 3 have fallen in one day. Months later, the wreckage burned white hot beneath the surface, and clear cuts and support beams were photographed. A passport from one of the hijackers appears on a city street, undamaged. Cars are discovered at airports with flight training videos and Qurans. Apparently the men, who were deeply religious enough to give their lives to attack these buildings, thought nothing of leaving their sacred texts behind. Some weeks later, 7 of the alleged hijackers are found to be alive in their native countries. Some days earlier, some of these men were observed drinking and having lap dances in a Florida bar. This sort of behavior is not normal for such men as these. Around the same time, the ringleader of these men and some associates were observed by the FBI boarding a gambling boat belonging to Jack Abramoff. These men were tracked to Las Vegas and watched by the FBI, yet they passed through the airport security checkpoints. Even though 11 of them were stopped and questioned, they still boarded. On the day of the event, several men were observed videotaping the attack as it happened. They were seen to be dancing and celebrating as well. The police stopped and arrested them. They were found to be Mossad agents. Sometime later, they were quietly released and returned to their home country with no reasons given. The men videotaping and celebrating had to have known about the attack in advance in order to have been in a position to film it. Members of the bin Laden family, the man accused of masterminding the attack, were immediately flown out of the country. Bin Laden denied any connection to this attack. Direct evidence of this exists, and no evidence of his admitting his involvement exists. All of this is fabrication and hearsay. No one can present such information other than one fabricated video that was proven false by the world's leading forensic experts in Switzerland. Many insist it is true, but no one has such evidence. Go look. Show it to me. As a result of this event, major wars have been launched. Over 1 million people have died, with nearly another 5 million displaced. An investigation was launched into the event against the wishes of the president and vice president, and rubber-stamped with pre-dawn conclusions, even though the evidence did not support these conclusions. The wreckage was gathered together and shipped overseas. No one was allowed to investigate it. In every event in New York City, in a Pennsylvania field, at the Pentagon, all of the evidence is contradictory. The amount of evidence on every level that directly refutes what we have been told fills thousands of pages. Meanwhile, the administration and the Congress belligerently oppose any inquiry into the matter. People in government who have questioned the official story have been fired from their jobs or driven from office by the very party they are a member of. University professors are fired for discussing it. Major websites composed of experts in their fields are ignored and even censured. Casual investigation of who benefited and who engineered actions of global impact based on official 911 findings all lead to the same parties. It is incontrovertibly true that one organization, PNAC, called for an attack on American soil in order to facilitate what followed. Members of this organization held key positions in and around the present administration. Therefore, here is what you must know, given that the official story is patently absurd. Anyone who promotes the official story, who accepts the official story, who oppresses those who doubt the official story, who does not question the official story, is involved or too stupid to pat their head and chew gum at the same time. Any presidential candidate who does not dispute the official story is a traitor to their nation and a tool of those who accomplished this attack. It all comes down to 911. Everything that has happened based on a lie. Everyone in government, in the media, in entertainment, in organized religion, in the public eye, and in the public who accepts and promotes the official story is either a traitor or a tool. Everyone who does not stand forth and speak truth to power is a coward, a liar, and complicit in mass murder. Everyone, everywhere can be measured according to this litmus test.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. This is the UFO News, and I have 4 stories. Or is it 5 stories? 5 stories for us today. The first one comes to us from Scott Waring Blogspot. Many cloud orbs caught up close during daytime. Russia video. March 4th. Okay. This is the objects in question we're looking for here. These 2 little round orbs. Says this is an amazing catch during the day in Russia of several cloud orbs. These orbs are extremely hard to catch, but with many hours of patience, you can see them firsthand. Let's take a look and see. This video is 7 minutes long. We're not going to watch all 7 minutes. We are going to get to the heart of the matter, and there we go. There's one right there, and there's another one right there. Let me stop the camera. Video, I mean. Alright, so there we go. These are the orbs in question over Russia. Watch the whole video, see what you think. Next story comes to us from Mars. Alien pyramid discovered in Mars rover photo. Now, here's the image. Look at this. Does this look like a pyramid to you? Looks like a pyramid to me. It's got a side that's pretty straight here. This is a flat side. Here's another flat side. I mean, look at this. You know how that is. That's not a natural object. This is from the distance. It says, I was looking at this photo of Mars in Bonneville crater panoramic and found this pyramid-shaped object. Now it seems to reason that the object from its angles was made by intelligence. Is it a tiny pyramid, which also explains the Apollo 20 mission to the moon and finding 5 to 7 centimeter skeletons of human-like figures inside glass tunnels along walls of the giant ship? Or is it a brick from a much larger structure or sculpture from millions of years ago? Hey, there's no video, but the pictures are interesting. Let's get a good close-up of this image here. Definitely is a man-made or creature-made object. Not normal. Alright, next story here. This comes to us from Death by 1,000 Paper Cuts. Multiple UFO-OVNI sightings over Madrid, March 4th, 5th. Videos from Madrid filmed on the 5th, 4th, and 5th of unidentified flying objects with multiple multicolored flashing lights, with one object that seems to have windows that, according to one person who filmed the object, flew silently over the city of Madrid. Alright, we're going to find out right now what was seen. Alright, let's see, there we go, there's the object in question. Blinking light. We've seen these before. Is this a ship? Is this a plane? Or is this an unidentified object? Alright, it's there for you to check out, see what you think. The links are up at firstcontactradio.com. Right hand side, UFO News. Alright, next story comes to us from Indiana. This is another sighting. There was one on March 2nd. This is one from the 3rd. Alright, let's Get over here to find the object in question. Nope, it's not on the ground. Let's get the camera up higher and look at that. Alright. There we go. Object in question. Right there. And you can see it in the distance. Solitary light blinking. And just seems to be hovering in one area. Not quite the way a plane moves, or even a helicopter for that matter. Alright, and the last story here comes to us from Kosovo. This is March 3rd, 2012. Let's take a look at this here. Alright, there we got the object. We've seen these before. Alright, the single solitary object over Kosovo on March 3rd. Very good, very good. Alright, that is our UFO news for today. Time to wake up, jump ahead to our song. I'll be back. I got more news and information. You're going to want to stay tuned, so be right back. Here we go.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Government should be afraid of them.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing, but they're illusion from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, Big Brother's watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What if I land and two if I see? And I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
Alrighty. So the first video was pretty good, huh? I've never seen that one before. And what lessons did we learn from it? Think for yourself, and don't be a tool. Very important in life. You know, the question I think we need to ask ourselves is, down the road, how are we going to be able to talk about our history? Are we going to be able to say that we were given clues and information that the world was falling apart and that we had the opportunity to fix it and we were dumbasses and we didn't listen and history repeated itself and we got run over by our own stupidity? Or are we going to be able to say that we got the clues that something was wrong, We actually stepped up to the plate, rose above the problems, fixed them, and now the world is much better for it. Which way do you think we're going to go? You know, it certainly seems that there is a lot of misinformation out there, and a lot of individuals who are misinformed about what's going on. Now, who's to blame for the misinformation? Well, it's a two-way street. On one hand, it's the media who is not giving you all the proper information, and on the other hand, it's the viewer, because the viewer has some sort of responsibility in learning what's going on, and any viewer out there, myself included, anyone that gives up their ability to learn based on what they hear from somebody else without checking it, well, that's kind of asking for trouble. You need to check what's going on. You need to understand that information is not being shared properly, and when the information is not shared properly, you can't make the right decisions. So you got to go out and you got to find the right information. It's out there. It's available. Now, Ron Paul is one of those who is definitely talking about what's going on. He's different than all the other candidates in that regard. And because of that, he's certainly being criticized quite a bit. But what he says has validity. If people just pay attention, it makes a lot of sense. Anyway, this is Ron Paul at the rally at Anchorage, Alaska. And I want you to hear this. See what he says. Here we go.
Pardon me?
Is that why you chose to come?
Yeah, I do, because of the traditions. I've been here a few times in the past, and we've had a lot of invitations to come. And the circumstances of the caucus state and the support I got here has lent itself for me to want to come here and spend yesterday and today here.
Did you get out for your walk today?
No, I didn't do that, but that's why I'm a grouch tonight.
Have you seen a moose yet?
No, but my granddaughter went out. She had never seen a moose, and she went out, saw her moose for the first time, took a picture, and it was all white. So she didn't think it was a big deal. She showed it to somebody local. They said, "Wow, where did you see that? That's a special event." So her first moose that she saw, took a picture. It turned out to be a white one.
Dr. Paul, I think our second biggest creditor nation is Japan, next to China.
Right.
Japan has an earthquake and a tsunami, so we borrow money from Japan. We give them gifts to help them through their emergency, and then our children pay that debt back to Japan in the years ahead. When is the Congress going to realize that we're out of money? We can't afford to do that kind of thing.
I guess when we have runaway inflation. But you know what you describe, it reminds me of what we call it. It's a funny money system. It's funny, but it's really not funny. It's sort of tragic that we borrow money to give it back to them. I mean, it means it's inevitably going to fail. I mean, you just can't do that. We've been doing it too long. But it's all based on this trust. We've gotten away with this idea that we have the reserve currency of the world. We literally are allowed to issue the gold, and they treat it like gold, and they put it in their bank, and they inflate on top of it. But it never has worked before, and it's not going to work. And I think I'm seeing the signs now that it's coming to an end. The European financial crisis over there, we've guaranteed that we would bail out. I think that is a big issue, and that could happen anytime now.
Dr. Paul, the other candidates are concentrating elsewhere in the country. You're the only one to make it here to Alaska. Do you think you're going to benefit from the fact that you're the only one to take the time and trouble to come?
Obviously, I want to do that, and Tuesday we're going to find out. I think it's a good way. People not only, if you go to the places where you believe they have more agreement on what you're saying, that's always a help. But people also like personal attention. You know, the fact that you come, I think you get a couple pluses for that. So I hope that will help as well.
Dr. Paul, let's talk about Fairbanks. I heard there was a big crowd there. Can you just describe how that went?
Well, that went very well. We had, I think, over 1,000 people, and we didn't expect that many. Tonight we had a very nice crowd too, so I was very pleased. It's a good sign, and of course we have to keep reminding them, you know, coming out to the rallies and having fun and cheering us on is one thing, but we need to get them to the polls and work their way through the delegation process, and I have felt good both at Fairbanks and here in Anchorage that they will do that.
And do you think you have a special appeal to Alaskans?
Well, let's hope so, because they have been known to be rather independent-minded and free-spirited, and that's what my message is all about. Okay? Yeah.
I was wondering, was there a pivotal moment in your life that you decided to step up and change how the systems work? Like, what made you decide that it was all broken?
Yeah, in many ways, and it was the coming across the Austrian School of Economics, and they explain things differently. But I think I've always been inquisitive about what makes the world work, because I remember the people talking about the Depression and the recessions that we've had and the inflations and all this, and I wanted to understand that better. And I thought the Austrian economists explained this. So when they predicted that the Bretton Woods system would fail, and it did, on August 15th of 1971, I said, boy, these people know what they're talking about. And they've been right essentially on all their predictions since. And I have, concentrated on that. So it was probably in the 70s, and I didn't expect to have a political career. I didn't plan for it, didn't schedule for that. I love medicine. I kept practicing medicine, but I started speaking out, and more people started listening than I really had anticipated. And now I think the message is more necessary than ever before.
Well, thank you so
One
much.
last question from CBS. Sir.
Okay.
Dr. Paul, you say that you'd like to reduce America's foreign aid spending. Why and how much by?
Well, I don't think we should do any foreign aid. Foreign aid is taking money from poor people in this country and, for the most part, giving it to rich people in poor countries. Rich dictators in the various countries. The money never gets to the people. It's always justified as that, well, we got to help the people out. Well, it usually goes to the government, and they're usually the rich people in that country. But wealthy people don't really pay. They don't suffer, but the people here suffer from the inflation, because usually we don't have the money, so we print the money. Inflation comes along, it hurts our middle class. And I don't think we get anything for it. Some people try to justify it for national defense purposes, but it really doesn't. It just bankrupts our country. And there's no authority in the Constitution to give money away, to take money from you and give it to some government overseas. No matter how well intended it is, it's not a proper expenditure. We should be a free and prosperous society, and people who want to help other people, they should be able to do it voluntarily, but not by a tax code. Through the tax code.
One more question.
Right.
You didn't speak much about oil and gas during your talk. That's a huge business and
Right.
issue in Alaska, something all Alaskans are thinking about. Can you address that?
Well, obviously, I believe in the free market. We should have, no subsidies for anybody, but we should give tax credits and benefits, encourage all forms of energy to compete against each other, but give the tax benefits equally to everybody. In other words, don't subsidize, say ethanol from corn and not give the same benefits to other sources of energy. The market would solve that problem, and I'm for just deregulation. And as far as Alaska is concerned, I'd like to see Alaska making most of the decisions. Matter of fact, I've taken the position the states that have, the majority of their land owned by the federal government. Under our system, the states should be in charge of that, either the state or actually private ownership. Texas, when Texas came into the Union, almost all the land was privately owned. And it's a big state. It had a lot of natural resources, and the development of all that territory went pretty smoothly. Okay.
Thank you, folks.
All right.
What about the media blackout? You're
Pardon me?
Media blackout. You're standing in front of Fox News, and no one seemed to report on you. I couldn't even find one article with your picture on it today. Could I get you to send my one, Paul Coyne?
Well,
I know it's
some
only,
people
I know
come,
it's only
but
copper,
still
but
some people come,
I still believe in
and we still have
sound money.
the internet too.
Where are you headed to next, Dr. Paul?
Idaho tonight. There you go.
All right, thanks again, everybody.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Hey, good to meet you.
Thank you, Rich.
Take care.
All right, very good. Dr. Paul has some good things to say. I think people should pay more attention. Everybody's all wondering how this race is going to go, and a lot of people I know that talk to me and know that I like Dr. Paul, keep asking, so when is he going to drop out? Well, you know what? This is something bigger. What Dr. Paul is presenting is he's presenting a whole cause. This is bigger than him. he is standing up to issues that matter, and issues that if Americans don't deal with them, it's going to really be the kind of thing that bites us in the ass. So America needs to pay attention to these issues, because there's a lot of politicians who aren't paying attention, and they really don't seem to care about what's going on with these issues. They're trying to brush them under the carpet. Dr. Paul's talking about important things. So, if you know others who are supportive, if you're supportive of him, great. If you know others who are, dismissing what he's about, give some more information. Let people see, because if they really realize, it'll make a difference. Now, this next story right here comes to us from cracked.com. 6 BS myths you probably believe about America's enemies. And the only reason you would believe these things is because this is what the news, the media, tells you over and over. Now, number 6, Iran could start a crazy war at any minute. What you've heard. Well, it's easy to see why people are afraid of Iran. President Mohammed Ahmadinejad has threatened to wipe Israel off the map and claimed the United States was behind 9/11. You wouldn't trust anyone who says things like that to be in charge of your country. Actually, that's why Ahmadinejad isn't in charge. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is. Despite a title that sounds like an overcompensating member of the Wu-Tang Clan, Khamenei has been running the show for years. See, unlike our president, Ahmadinejad doesn't control Iran's nuclear strategy, armed forces, or even foreign policy. Ahmadinejad is more like the Joe Biden of Iran. He says stupid things that embarrass the country, but the guy in power thinks he's good enough. He's a good enough shit, so he keeps him around. All right? That's number 6. Number 5, we're going to go down here. There's more there. China is going to steamroll America. China's economy is going to steamroll. What you've heard. According to the New York Post, America already owns China so much money that China can destroy our economy whenever it wants. So if you're reading this from inside the United States, we hope you like the taste of steamroller, because you and everything you love is about to get steamrolled by China's economic steamroller. And thanks to the gap between Chinese super students and America's bumper crop of dumbasses, America probably needs to be told that China's economy isn't an actual steamroller. Actually, the media tends to portray America like China's deadbeat brother-in-law who keeps borrowing money and promising he's good for it. But the truth is that China is far more dependent on the U.S. than the other way around. If they decided to pull the rug out from the U.S., they'd be pulling it out from under their own economy. Number 4, America relies on its enemies for oil. Another falsehood. America is the mercy of foreign countries that control our oil supply and could choke our economy at a moment's notice. It's no wonder we all started those wars in the Middle East. We were trying to control the oil fields. But, actually, for starters, 36% of American oil is domestic. Another 22% of America's oil comes from the hostile and violent country of Canada. In fact, our friendly neighbor to the north produces more of America's oil than all the Gulf countries combined. So that's over half of America's oil controlled by countries with NBA franchises. Did we mention that America's third largest supplier of oil is Mexico? Still, a good chunk of America's oil does come from countries that are less friendly terms with the States. Venezuela is a good example. What's to stop Hugo Chavez from waking up on the wrong side of the bed one morning and cutting us off? All right. Next. That was 4. Next one. Continuing. We got 3 more. 3. Al-Qaeda is still a huge threat. In the wake of bin Laden's death, or alleged death, the government was quick to tell us that Al-Qaeda is still dangerous. After all, bin Laden was just man. There are plenty of Al-Qaeda members ready to stand up and be the Simon Gruber to Osama's Hans. These people are ideologically motivated, and they won't stop until they've defeated us. Actually, they're stopping, or at least slowing down, to the point that it's hard to tell the difference. It's true that bin Laden's death didn't cripple Al-Qaeda, but that's mostly because they were in terrible shape to begin with. In what had been at least a little anticlimactic, the computers seized from the fortress revealed that bin Laden had spent his final months worrying about Al-Qaeda's bank balance. Not to mention the fact that bin Laden had been reported dead 9 times prior to that, so not quite sure what happens there. Number 2, North Korea. His military is dangerous and insane. What you've heard. On paper, North Korea's military looks pretty scary. It's the most militarized country on the planet, has the fourth largest army in the world, and spends a larger portion of its GDP on the military than any other state. How is this not dangerous? Actually, Korea may spend a huge chunk of GDP on its army, but its GDP is tiny, which shouldn't surprise you considering the chief exports are requests for food aid and passive-aggressive threats. In actual dollars, North Korea's military budget is only $5 to $8 billion. By comparison, South Korea's military budget is over triple that. Actually, South Korea spends more on its army than North Korea has on its entire budget. And the last thing, the last BS is the world hates America. What you've heard, this one takes different forms depending on who's talking. The right wing will tell you that everyone else, from France to Iraq, hates our freedom or our democracy, or our ability to get chili cheese fries added to any meal. The left will tell you with the grim fatalism that the developing world hates us because we've been occupying their countries, damaging their culture and reputation for years. The idea that the rest of the world hates America isn't really an argument so much as it's the assumption that every argument about American foreign policy starts from... Now, actually, since 2005, the BBC has conducted a poll on world attitudes towards various countries. In 2011, 49% of the people surveyed said America had a positive influence on the world, while 31% had negative views. That's better than most presidential approval ratings from the past 20 years, and we elected those guys. Even some of the most well-known haters of our freedom are in reality more likely to give the U.S. a slap on the back and this guy, he's crazy, but he's all right. Unfortunately, the purveyors of freedom fries, even the French attitude towards the U.S. has recently shifted from negative to positive. And as for all those claims that the developing world hates us, Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, and the Philippines actually have a more positive view of America than Americans do. So the purpose of all of this was for you to understand that propaganda tells you what to think, and unless you think for yourself, you're going to be thinking what someone else is telling you to think. And that doesn't get anybody anywhere. Now, this next story here just ties right into the last one. Anderson Cooper busted. Staged fake CNN news. Well, what a surprise, what a surprise, what a surprise. Alright. Says Anderson Cooper busted, stage fake news, CNN breaking news, Anderson Cooper 360, CNN election results are fake. Phoenix, CNN breaking news, Anderson Cooper has been caught red-handed creating staged CNN war room scenarios style regarding Syria and other stories that are simply not true. And are simply manufactured Hollywood news designed to dupe the ignorant masses of America and the world into believing war propaganda. Damning footage has emerged of Syria Danny, the dubious activist who appears on mainstream news each and every week begging for a U.S. or Israeli military invasion, in which he apparently coordinates gunfire and explosions to be set and staged during his interview with CNN. Syria Danny, preparing his report for CNN, is told by cameramen, tell them they are falling down, and we're taking bodies from underneath them. Hip boots, please. This is a staged report and only proves that the CNN is manufactured news. Alright, let me play a little bit of this clip right here. So you can see what this is all about. Because he's just there, as I said, he's just waiting. Nothing's going on. Okay, he's talking about gunfire. Boom, there's the gunfire, cueing it in. Okay. And even the sound behind him, it sounds almost like it's coming from some recording device. Alright, keep going through here. You can see he's waiting and he's waiting. And then, boom, see that? Notice the explosion right after he said let him shoot. Okay. And as we keep moving in here, here's the cameraman telling them that we're falling down, taking bodies from underneath them. And as we move along into this,
and we got the video up on
now
YouTube.
when we actually get into the video here where he's online with Anderson Cooper,
We have 200 dead.
even though you just saw Syria Danny standing there, even though you just saw him standing there, waiting, as soon as he gets on with Anderson, he tells him that they were in the middle of all this gunfire for the last hour. But he was just standing there. He was lying, making it up. They had people shooting guns so they'd have the sound effects. They had everything they need to make this look real. And all of the people watching this on CNN think it's real. And they're all wanting to go off to war and battle because they saw this fake news story. But who was doing the fake news story? CNN and Anderson Cooper, someone who has been accused of doing such things in the past, and here he is caught red-handed doing them again. So you don't want to believe everything they're telling you on the mainstream news, and by mainstream news I'm talking about CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox, CNN, all those news stories, those news agencies, corporate media. They're not going to tell you the real truth of what's going on. And as long as reporters over there, journalists, decide to bypass news for a paycheck, you're never going to get the real news. So pay attention, folks. This information is all around you. There's an information war going on. The question is, are you going to be a victim of intelligence or stupidity? That's what it all boils down to. Which information are you going to listen to? Now, this one here is an important one. Leaked email. Pentagon admits plan to direct terror attacks inside Syria. A shocking email leaked as part of the WikiLeaks Stratfor data dump reveals that the Pentagon is planning to direct terror attacks and assassinations inside Syria in a bid to topple President Bashar al-Assad. The email, written by Riva Bala, Stratfor's director of analysis, contains details of a December 6 Pentagon meeting attended by members of the USAF Strategic Studies Group along with 4 military officers at the lieutenant colonel level, including the French and 1 British representative. Bala was told by military officials that despite official claims to the contrary, foreign troops and NATO powers were already on the ground in Syria. After a couple hours of talking, they said, without saying, that SOF teams, presumably from the US, UK, France, Jordan, Turkey, already on the ground, focused to REAS, which is reconnaissance missions and training opposition forces, states the email. Bala goes on to describe how the mission of the undercover commandos is hypothetically to commit guerrilla attacks, assassination campaigns, try to break the back of Alawati forces, Assad's support base, elite collapse from within. In other words, the Pentagon, along with other NATO powers, have already directed Special Forces troops stationed inside Syria to carry out terrorist attacks and assassinations in an effort to topple President Bashar al-Assad. So, regardless of what they are telling you in the news, behind the scenes, they're already on the attack. So, they're planning this. What they do is they go and they do the attack, and they plant the siege, and they push the buttons. So, good Americans who are out there suddenly turn bloodthirsty and start crying for war. Well, war is not the answer, my friends. Look how what war has gotten us so far. Look what it is, you know. If we think back to the idea of you shall know them by the fruits they bear, well, what are the fruits that the United States puts out? War. War doesn't give us very much, except a lot of problems, a lot of death. It seems like the lessons, from a spiritual standpoint, war should be like 101. It doesn't work. And anybody still dealing with war is still dealing with lessons they should have got lifetimes ago. So if you're still dealing with the issues of war, let go of that. It's not serving you. It's not serving anybody. Now, this last thing I'm going to play before we get into our meditation, this is all about the X-class flares. Now, important information as always, because how the sun behaves and affects us is important. Alright, let's check this out here. There we go. Alright, what do we got here? Apparently there's no sound here for some reason. And it's just showing the sun. Alright, well, I thought there was more to that. My bad on that one. Anyway, just, you know, as you can see from this, it's just showing images of the sun as it goes around. We can see the flares coming off. So, I think it's important that we just pay attention with what is going on with the bodies out there in space, like the sun. Alright, let's get into our meditation. So what I'd like you to do is go ahead and close your eyes and relax. Close your eyes and relax. Imagine that you are walking along a path, and as you are walking along, I want you to notice that everybody in the crowd that is walking along has this darkness that seems to be trying to get into everybody's lives. And as you are walking along and you notice that these darkness is around, you notice that it creates doubts and fears amongst those walking along the path. And as you think about the doubts and the fears and the hopes that they could be dissipated, a nice gentle rain starts to fall. And as the rain falls, it's like a shower washing over everybody. And the dirt washes off. And with the dirt and the darkness, the fears and the doubts wash away. And with the fears and the doubts gone, there's a newfound confidence, a newfound strength. And as you move along the path with this newfound confidence and strength, you realize the possibilities of life are endless. All you need to do is believe. And that the doubts and the fears only held you back. So without the doubts and the fears, imagine what it is you can do. Take a moment just to consider what you might do if you didn't have these doubts and fears around anymore to stop you. Go ahead and consider. And as you realize that without the doubt and the fear, the success is the only option, you feel even more confident than before. And this confidence becomes contagious and you share it with others. So pretty soon, everyone grows with a new set of confidence. And this confidence brings us to the point of wanting to see the truths. And the more we search for the truth, the more the doubts and the fears dissipate, and the lies dissipate. And those spreading the lies have to change because there's no other option for them, because their lies are no longer accepted. Imagine what the world would be like if we all lived in integrity, if we all walked in truth. if we all just focused on love. Imagine what this planet could be like and the possibilities for each and every being upon this planet. This opportunity does exist. It's here right now. We just need to remind ourselves. And by going inside is exactly the way we do that. Imagine all of our chakras are activated, starting with the chakra at the bottom of the spine. The color is red. Raise the energy up to the chakra above it. Imagine the color orange. From there, raise the energy up to the chakra above it, just below the rib cage. Imagine the color yellow. From there, imagine the energy going up to the heart chakra. Imagine the color green. From the green heart chakra, send the energy up to the throat. Imagine the color blue. Up to the third eye, imagine the color violet. And finally to the crown chakra, the top of your head, imagine the color indigo. Continuing on into the cosmos as white light. Take a moment to honor your connection to the cosmos and to the earth, to all that was, all that is, and all that ever shall be. And let's think a good thought for everybody around the world today, because we're all in this together. And when one of us does good, we all do good. Let's think good thoughts for everybody around the planet. And as we do so, we'll bring our energy and attention back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. All right, there you go. We have made it to the end. Go ahead and open your eyes. You're ready for another day if you haven't already got things started. And if you have, may the rest of your day be awesome. That's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. I'll talk to you then. Be safe. Peace. I'm out of here.